Everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about my family migration. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So for the interviews, I conducted interviews with three of my family members, my nana, my tata, and my tia. My tata being Alfredo Barron, my nana Cecilia Barron, and my tia Patricia Barron. So my tata grew up in Matamoros, which is a city that borders Texas and Mexico. When he was 4, he moved to Delicias, Chihuahua. He pretty much worked throughout his high school years. He didn't end up graduating. Instead, he had a big family, so their main thing was kind of provide for the family. And he got his job during his senior year for a packing house. And then from there, it was just concrete, Associated Concrete, and then the oil fields where he currently works now and is retired but still working. So, big working guy. For my nana, she was born in Juarez, Mexico. She didn't live there for long, I want to say, until she was about 10. And then after that, she came to Oxnard and moved into Rose Park with her 8 other siblings. She had a pretty big family, so it was 8 other siblings when they moved over, but then 16 in total. I thought that was a big family. He had 12 siblings in total. I asked her if she experienced any racial discrimination or anything like that, and she said yes. In high school, it was kind of like a racial tension between the Black American students and the Hispanic students. She did graduate in 1973. She did attend some college classes, but then my tia Patty was born, and she kind of stayed at home for that. My tio Freddie was born in 1976, and then my dad in 1979, Eddie Barron. After my dad was born, she went back to work. She was working as a special needs school bus driver for a little bit, but then my dad had an accident and he needed medical attention full time, so she stayed home and she hasn't really been working since then. Next person would be my tia Patty. She was born in Santa Paula. My nana and tata didn't really speak English for a while, so growing up she only spoke Spanish. When she was 6, that's when she was placed in ESL classes, and what she told me was basically my nana had to fight the principal on it because he wanted to put my tia in all Spanish speaking classes when my nana's biggest argument was, but she already speaks Spanish, she needs English. Then I asked her about any discrimination she might have felt. She said that when she was in beauty pageants when she was little, she could feel the eyes of like other moms just looking at her like she was out of place, since the pageants were primarily white Americans. In 1991, she also had a different experience with discrimination. This was workplace discrimination. And my tia Patty had a lot to say about the workplace discrimination that she faced throughout her whole life, basically. She had a lot of bad experiences. In 1993, my cousin Janisa was born. And in 1998, my cousin Clarissa. 2003, my cousin Ethan. In 2008, I did note the date just because that's when she said that she first witnessed her kids experience discrimination. It was kind of the whole thing. They lived in Bakersfield, and there was a lot of racial tension in the schools for Black Americans and Hispanics, and it was this whole thing. There was a lot of fights, and my cousin was very badly injured, and she tried to change her schools, and the board basically told her no because the other school you want to transfer her to has met their quota for Hispanic students. So that's what she had to say about that. For historical research, I put in the Job Corps because it was established in 1964, and that's when my tata came to Santa Paula. That's what he was working for. He would go work there once a week. He would work there a whole week, and then the next week go to school, and then on and off. He actually had to lie and say he was 18, but my tata really wanted to work and provide, so that's what he did, and he dropped out of school to go ahead and do that. I also put in about a law that was implicated in 1965 that put a limit to how many people from the Western Hemisphere were allowed to legally come into the United States. I felt like this applied to my family because around that time, my family had already migrated over, but my nana, that's the same year that they moved over. So it would have made it a lot harder had they not migrated sooner. And I also put the Oxnard Hispanic community doubled in 1970s to 1980s, and my nana definitely, her family did contribute to that because such a big family, 16 kids. For my family tree, I only put just my nana and then my tata. So Cecilia Barron, Sergio Alfredo Barron. He has two first names. And then my dad. And then my dad had me, Alexis Barron, and then the twins, Ivan and Isaac Barron. Then my tío, he had his girls and Chris. So Ashley, Alyssa, Mia, Layla, Zoe, and Chris. And then he had with my tia Michelle, had them with my tia Michelle. For my tia Patricia, she had Janisa, Clarissa, and Ethan. She had 3 there. So for the map, I went ahead and I put in the 2 maps that I could find that had the cities that my family was from. So basically, like I said, my tata, he was born in Brownsville, Texas, which is around this area, and then he grew up in Matamoros, and I wanted to include this map because it showed where that was. It's right there on the border. And then he moved to Chihuahua, and I thought it was pretty cool because my nana was actually born in Juarez, Chihuahua, so they were kind of close, and they didn't even know each other, knew nothing about each other. And then they also moved exactly to the same area in California, so I thought that was really cool to find out. And then I included some pictures of my family. So this is going to be on the top left. It'll be starting from the left to the right. My tío Freddy, my cousin Janisa being held by my tia Patty, my dad in the middle, and then my nana Cecilia, and then my tata Alfredo. The next picture to the right will be my nana and tata on their wedding day. And then I have a picture of my tata working in the Job Corps. And then on the bottom left, I have me and then some of my brothers. So that's Dylan, Isaac, Marcus, and Ivan. In the middle center picture, I have some of my Tío Freddy's girls. We don't have a lot of pictures where all of the kids are together, except for the next one, which would be my tia Patty, and then her 3 kids, Janisa, Ethan, and Clarissa. And then his girls are right here. That's Alyssa, Zoe, and then Layla and Mia. And then this is our Christmas photo. This is kind of all of us right here. That's going to be my tia Michelle, my tío Freddy, Chris, Zoe. It's kind of everyone right here. This one's from like a couple Easters ago. For artifacts and conclusion, I included the artifact of this rosary that was passed down from my great-grandma to my grandma to my nana and then to me. And then I also included a picture of my mom, my dad, and myself. And I felt like this was a good artifact because my mom, my tias, my nanas were all into like kind of scrapbooking. So they would kind of tear out, they would go and get photo booth pictures and kind of write on the back and be like, okay, like that's our time. Like they kind of kept a timeline. And then for works cited, I just put my tata, my nana, and my tia because I spoke to them. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned a little bit about my family story.